She disguised herself as a maid just to test her husband. But what she found out inside her own home was worse than her darkest fears. Mirabel could not sleep. She sat on the edge of the bed and watched her husband, Daniel, as he snored quietly. They had been married for 2 good years with no children. She had done all possible things. She went to prayers, went to hospitals, drank all kinds of herbs, but none worked. Every time Daniel would say, "My wife, don't worry too much. When the right time comes, God will give us our own children." Mirabel would believe him and answer, "Amen." For a long time, his words gave her strength. She believed him. She chose to smile through the pain. She told herself that love was enough. For a while, they were happy. Daniel sometimes came home complaining about business, how things were not moving well. Mirabel supported him the best way she could. She poured her money, her strength, and her heart into their marriage. But in the last few months, everything had changed. Daniel no longer came home early. He answered her softly but distantly. He began to lock his phone. He traveled often, and whenever Mirabel asked, he would say, "It's business, my love." She wanted to believe him. She tried to silence her fears, but her heart was restless. That night, as she sat on the edge of the bed, watching him sleep, her tears rolled freely. She remembered his words from before, "You are my joy, child or no child." But now she asked herself, am I still his joy? Or has he found joy somewhere else? Mirabel's phone buzzed on the table. It was a call from her best friend, Clara. She picked it up with trembling fingers. "Hello, Mira," Clara's voice cracked. "I don't know how to tell you this, but I saw Daniel this afternoon with another woman and 2 children." Mirabel's eyes darted toward her husband, still sleeping soundly beside her. She quickly turned away, clutching the phone tightly. "Oh, Clara, that's Daniel's cousin. He told me the other day about them. He said her husband left her, and the least he can do is take care of them for now. They even come to my place sometimes, Clara." Clara sighed heavily. "Mira, are you sure? I think this man is lying to you." Mira cut in quickly. "Thank you for your time, but I think I have to go. Talk to you tomorrow." She ended the call, but her heart was restless. She didn't even know who to believe anymore, her best friend or her husband. Just a few months ago, Daniel had introduced the woman, Bella, as his cousin. He said her husband had abandoned her, so he was only helping her out. And yet, Mira remembered what her maid had once whispered about Bella. But before she could ask questions, Daniel had sacked the maid without warning. Now, doubt clouded her mind. She wondered if Clara was right, or if she was wrong for suspecting Daniel at all. She also couldn't ignore how Bella and Daniel would sometimes talk in low tones, and how quickly they would act normal whenever she walked into the room like thieves caught in the act. The next day, she called Clara and apologized for the way she had spoken to her the night before. Then she confessed everything about how Daniel had been acting lately, always making excuses, always coming home late, and how he brushed her off whenever she tried to talk. Clara sighed for a long moment before whispering, "Mira, let me not lie to you. I think your husband is cheating on you with that so-called cousin. I don't know how he's doing it, but from what I saw yesterday, there is definitely something going on." Mira's chest tightened. Her head told her Clara might be right, but her heart refused to accept it. "Clara," she said softly, "I really appreciate your care towards me, but I don't think Daniel would ever cheat on me. That woman is his cousin. He would never do that to me. Never." Clara fell silent, confused. She didn't want to push her friend too far, but she also didn't want her to live in lies. Finally, Clara suggested something. "Okay, Mira, if you say so, I won't argue with you. But let me tell you something you can try. Pretend to tell him you're going on a business trip. Then, return unexpectedly in the evening and see for yourself." At first, Mira shook her head. "No, I won't do that. That's too much." But after a few minutes of thinking, her heart began to race. "You know what, Clara? I'll do it. Not just for one day. I'll tell him I'm traveling for 1 week, and then," her voice dropped, "I'll disguise myself and apply for a maid job in my own house." Clara gasped. "Mira, are you sure you want to go that far?" "Yes," Mirabel said firmly, her eyes burning with silent tears. "It's the only way I can know the truth with my own eyes." She wiped her tears, sat upright, and made her decision. The next day, she would tell Daniel she was traveling on a week-long business trip. Then she would return in disguise, not as his wife, but as a maid inside her own home. Only then would the truth finally come out. The following morning, Mirabel sat at the dining table. Daniel, dressed sharply in his blue suit, was sipping coffee and scrolling through his phone. She forced a smile, hiding the storm inside her chest. "Honey," she began softly, her fingers tightening around the cup she held. "I need to travel for a business trip. It will last for 1 week. I already told my secretary to arrange things." Daniel glanced up quickly, his expression unreadable. For a second, she thought she saw relief flash in his eyes, but it disappeared as he leaned back in his chair. "A business trip?" he repeated. "So sudden?" "Yes," Mirabel replied, forcing her voice steady. "It's important. I leave tomorrow morning." Daniel chuckled lightly and kissed her forehead. "All right then, my love. Don't stress yourself. You know I'll miss you, but go and succeed. I'll manage here." Those words cut into her heart like a knife. She managed a smile, but inside she was breaking. "Manage here? With who?" "My love, I wouldn't want you to stress about anything while I am away," Mirabel said softly one evening. "So I have already spoken to an agency to arrange for a new maid. That way you won't worry about cooking or house chores." Daniel leaned forward, smiling faintly. "My love, you don't have to worry. I can take care of myself." But Mirabel shook her head firmly. "No, honey, I worry, and I insist. I don't want you struggling with cooking or cleaning. Please, let the maid help." Daniel hesitated, then finally sighed. "Okay, my love, that's fine. But I don't want one of those lazy workers. I don't want any kind of problem in this house." Mirabel's lips curved into a small smile. "Don't worry, darling. I will handle it." That night, as Daniel slept peacefully beside her, Mirabel stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. He thinks a maid is coming from the agency. He doesn't know the maid will be me. Her plan was already in motion. The next morning, Mirabel packed a small travel bag. She hugged Daniel and whispered, "I'll miss you, my love. Take care of yourself until I'm back." Daniel kissed her forehead. "Don't worry, travel safely." As soon as she left the house, Mirabel's heart beat faster. She didn't go to the airport. Instead, she went straight to the agency she had spoken to earlier. She told them she needed to bring a maid herself because the one they had didn't fit her husband's taste. The agency agreed. That evening, Mirabel returned to her own home, but not as Mirabel. She wore a cheap wig, tied it into a messy bun, and rubbed powder on her face to make her skin look dull. She put on a faded gown and simple slippers. In the mirror, she barely recognized herself. She looked like a poor, desperate woman searching for work. When she knocked on her own gate, one of the guards frowned. "Yes? Who are you?" "I'm the new maid from the agency," she said in a soft, lowered voice. The guard checked his list, nodded, and opened the gate. "Madam has already traveled. Olga is inside." Mirabel's heart almost stopped at those words. "Yes, Olga is inside. My own husband." Daniel opened the door himself when she knocked. He looked at her briefly, then nodded. "So you're the maid?" "Yes, sir," Mirabel said, head down. "What's your name?" "Mercy, sir." He nodded. "Come in. Listen, your madam traveled. I don't like noise. Make yourself useful. I don't like lazy people. If you have any problem, tell me. Is that clear?" "Yes, sir," Mirabel said, bowing her head to hide her face. He looked at her again, as if measuring how much respect to give. Then he waved his hand. "You can start." That morning, she cooked for him. She washed the dishes. She swept the living room. All the while, her heart was heavy. This was her house, her kitchen, her floor. Yet she had to pretend to be a stranger just to see the truth with her own eyes. By noon, he left for the office. Mirabel locked the door and leaned on it for a long minute. The house felt different without him. It felt like it was holding its breath. She took off the wig to rest her head. She looked around the sitting room. Something was off. The framed wedding photo that used to sit in the center of the console had moved. It was pushed to the side, like a chair nobody wanted to sit on. Mirabel put her wig back on and continued working. At 5 p.m., Daniel came home. "What's that your name again?" he asked without even looking at her. "Mercy, sir," Mirabel answered softly. "Is there food?" he asked, still scrolling his phone. Yes, sir, she said. She cooked jollof rice with grilled fish. She placed it carefully on the table with a bottle of water. Daniel sat and ate quickly, eyes fixed on his phone the whole time. Halfway through the meal, his phone rang. He took it immediately and walked to the balcony. Mirabel quietly stood behind the curtain, pressing her ear close. Yes, my love, Daniel's voice lowered, almost sweet. Don't worry. She has traveled for 1 week. The house is free now. Tomorrow, you can come over. I miss you. Mirabel's heart almost stopped. Her fingers clutched the curtain tight. My love? Tears filled her eyes, but she bit her lip hard so he wouldn't hear a sound. Daniel laughed softly on the phone. Yes, tomorrow. I'll send the driver to pick you. Mirabel's whole body trembled. She staggered back, covering her mouth so her sob wouldn't escape. She leaned on the wall until the world stopped spinning. She wanted to step out and shout, Daniel! But she kept still. The plan was to see. She had seen. But she needed more. She needed to know the full truth, not just the hot shock of a call. When Daniel came back inside, she had already wiped her face and bent low like a maid. He didn't even notice. He just dropped his phone and continued eating. The next day came faster than Mirabel could even prepare her heart for. By 11 a.m. Daniel was already restless. He dressed neatly in one of his best shirts, sprayed his perfume twice, and kept checking his phone. Mirabel, still disguised as Mercy the maid, cleaned the sitting room quietly, but her eyes never left him. Then, a car horn honked outside. Daniel's face lit up instantly. She's here, he whispered to himself, smiling. The gate opened, and Bella walked in with her 2 children. She wore a tight-fitting dress that hugged her curves, her makeup glistening under the afternoon sun. Daniel rushed forward and hugged her at the door like a husband welcoming his wife. My love, you're here, he said openly. Bella laughed, kissing him quickly on the cheek. Didn't I tell you I would come? You said your wife traveled, so now the house is ours. Mirabel almost dropped the mop in her hand. Her ears burned, her chest felt like fire. She pressed her lips together to stay calm. So Daniel's cousin was actually his woman? And those children his children? She wanted to scream. The children ran inside, shouting joyfully, Daddy! Daddy! Daniel lifted the younger one into his arms and kissed her forehead, laughing. Come in, my beautiful children, he said warmly to Bella, holding her hand as though she was the true wife of the house. Mercy, he called sharply. Serve food for us. Mirabel stepped out slowly, head bowed, hiding her face behind the wig. She greeted Bella politely. Bella looked her up and down, then sneered. Another maid. Daniel, you like changing them all the time. At least this one looks quiet. Daniel chuckled. Don't mind her. She's new. She doesn't talk too much. Mirabel placed the food on the table, fried rice, chicken, and juice. But as she bent down, her tears almost dropped into the plate. From where she stood, she could see it clearly now. The man she trusted, the man she prayed with, the man who once promised her forever, was living a double life inside her own home. She clenched her fists tightly and spoke only in her heart. Now I must know the whole truth with my own eyes. I will watch. I will endure. And when the time comes, I will show him who I really am. Bella leaned against Daniel's shoulder while eating, her laughter filling the sitting room like she owned it. Daniel, you know I don't like sharing you, she teased, picking chicken with her manicured nails. When will you finally stop hiding me like a secret? Your wife is always traveling, busy with her business, while I'm here giving you real love. Daniel smiled, rubbing her back. Don't worry, Bella. You know you're my real happiness. I'll sort everything out very soon. For now, just relax. Mirabel's whole body shook as she poured juice into their cups. She almost wanted to smash the tray on the floor, but she steadied herself. The older child looked at her curiously. Daddy, who is this auntie? Daniel waved his hand dismissively. Just the maid, don't bother. Bella laughed mockingly. She's even too fine to be a maid. But, well, life is not the same for everybody. Some women are born to be servants, while some of us are born to shine. She flipped her hair proudly. Mirabel's heart broke into pieces, but she swallowed her pain. She reminded herself, Clara was right. Now I've seen it with my own eyes. This man is not who I thought he was. After eating, Bella carried her handbag upstairs, dragging Daniel along. Come, she whispered. Let's go rest. The kids can play here. Mercy will watch them. Mirabel froze. Upstairs? My own bedroom? She screamed inside her heart. From the corner of her eye, she saw Daniel slip his hand around Bella's waist as they climbed the stairs. Their voices faded into laughter, leaving Mirabel trembling in the sitting room, standing like a statue. The children ran around noisily, playing with toys, but Mirabel didn't hear them. Tears blurred her vision. She dropped into a chair, holding her chest. How did it come to this? The man I loved? The marriage I built with prayers? At that moment, her phone hidden deep in her pocket vibrated. It was Clara's message. Mira, are you okay? Remember, don't lose your strength. Collect evidence. When the time is right, expose him. Mirabel wiped her tears quickly. Her resolve hardened. She whispered to herself, yes, I will not break. I will gather proof. And when I remove this wig, Daniel will not believe what his eyes are seeing. She stood up, straightened her clothes, and walked back to the kitchen. But inside her, fire was already burning. Later that evening, Daniel and Bella sat on the couch together, scrolling through his phone, showing each other things and laughing loudly. Their children dozed off on the floor, their heads resting on Daniel's lap. Mirabel stood at the corner, her hands clasped, her chest tight with pain. Bella leaned into Daniel and whispered loudly enough for Mirabel to hear. Imagine, your wife believes I'm just your cousin. Can you believe how foolish she is? They both laughed. One evening, Mirabel moved quietly through the hallway. She was on her way to the kitchen when she heard voices in the living room. She stopped and leaned closer. Daniel and Bella were sitting together, speaking in low tones. Bella touched his arm and whispered, "When are you moving the funds, honey?" "By Monday," Daniel replied in a low, steady voice. "Just Monday." He's not a Jose. Bella's eyes sparkled. "How much by Monday?" Daniel gave a small, cold laugh. "When she returns, I will forge her signature. Enough money for a new start, enough for our family, enough to forget the past." He leaned back in his chair and added with a sneer, "I will move everything and leave her where she belongs on the street." Can you believe she actually thinks I could love someone like her? Bella, it's you I love. Only you. I'm ready to do anything for our family. That's why I've been giving her those pills. She will never get pregnant for me. Bella gasped softly, then laughed nervously. You are very smart, my love. That's why I love you. That's why I'm so proud of you. Daniel smiled, placed his hand on her shoulder, and bent to kiss her hair. You deserve a soft life, and we are getting there soon. Cheers. Mirabel's hand gripped the wall. Her knees almost gave way. Her chest pounded as the truth hit her like a storm. For 2 years she had prayed, fasted, and cried to God for a child. For 2 years she had blamed herself, asking why she couldn't conceive. And now she had just learned the bitter truth her own husband had been drugging her so she would never carry his child. Her vision blurred with tears. She pressed her hand over her mouth to stop herself from crying out. The betrayal was too much. The lies, the cruelty. It was worse than death. Right there, she wanted to rush into the living room, scream, and expose them both. She wanted to shout, I know everything! But Mirabel didn't just want to expose Daniel. She wanted to send him to where he truly belonged. That night, after Daniel had slept, she stepped outside quietly with shaky hands and called Clara. Her voice was breaking. Clara, everything you told me is true. I've seen it all. I've recorded everything. The forged papers, the way he spoke with Bella, even how he confessed to giving me pills so I won't get pregnant. Clara gasped on the other side. Jesus. Mira, this is evil. This man is destroying your life. You can't let him escape. I won't, Mirabel whispered. I'm tired of crying in silence. I'm tired of being fooled. Tomorrow, he will face the law. She then called the police. Her voice trembled at first, but she grew stronger with each word. She explained what Daniel had done, how he planned to move funds, how he was committing fraud, how he had been living with another woman under her roof. The officer on the other end said firmly, Madam, don't worry. We'll be at your house tomorrow. Just act normal until then. Mirabel hung up, her chest heavy but relieved. She went back inside, looked at Daniel sleeping peacefully, and shook her head. "Tomorrow, your lies will bury you. Tomorrow, you will see who I truly am." The next day came like a thief in daylight. At exactly 6 p.m., Daniel returned home with Bella and her children. He was laughing, carrying shopping bags in his hands. "My love," he said to Bella, "tonight is just for us. Mirabel will come back on Monday, so we can relax and enjoy this moment." Bella giggled and leaned on his shoulder. "I told you. Let's just get over this deal and leave this place, honey. She doesn't deserve you." Mirabel stood in the corner, heart pounding, but she held her tongue. Then came a knock at the door. Clara entered, pretending to be a visitor from Mirabel. She greeted them loudly. "Good evening, Mr. Daniel." "Good evening, Madam Bella," she said, stressing Madam Bella. Daniel's smile faded. "What do you mean by that?" Clara stepped aside, and slowly, Mirabel removed her wig, letting her real hair fall around her face. She stepped forward, her eyes blazing with tears and anger. "I mean this," she said. "The real wife is here." Daniel froze. Bella gasped. The children ran behind her. "Mirabel?" Daniel stammered, his face pale. "Yes, Daniel," Mirabel said, her voice trembling but strong. "Your wife. The woman you promised forever to. The woman you told not to worry. Now tell me, who is Bella? Your cousin? Your friend? Or your secret wife and mother of your children?" Silence swallowed the room. Daniel's lips moved, but no words came out. Bella lowered her head, her face red with shame. Clara crossed her arms. "We have seen enough." Mirabel's tears spilled, but her voice was firm. "Daniel, I gave you my heart. I gave you my trust. I gave you everything, every damn thing. For 2 years, I begged God for a child, not knowing you were poisoning me with pills. And this is what you gave me in return? Betrayal inside my own house." Daniel dropped to his knees, his hands trembling. "Mira, please, let me explain." But Mirabel shook her head slowly. "No, I don't need your explanation anymore. The truth has already explained itself." Just as she was about to finish, another knock came. "Come inside, officers," Mirabel said. Daniel, still on his knees, looked up in shock. "Oh, Mira, my love, you don't have to involve the police. Please, give me another chance. We can fix this. It's the devil's work. I love you, my love." Mirabel's voice was cold. "Daniel, I have heard enough of your lies. I don't want them anymore. Officers, please arrest them." "Mr. Daniel Williams," the officer said sharply, "you are under arrest for fraud, conspiracy, and attempted domestic crime against your wife." The officers snapped handcuffs on Daniel. He struggled, shouting, "No! This is a mistake! I'm Daniel Williams! I'm powerful! You can't do this to me!" But his power meant nothing now. Bella too was dragged up, her children crying as officers led her away. Mirabel stood there, tears streaming down her face, not tears of pain this time, but of release. "Take him," she whispered. "Take them both. They belong in prison, not in my home." The officers pushed Daniel and Bella out. Neighbors gathered outside the gate, whispering, pointing, and shaking their heads. The same man who once pretended to be honorable was now being dragged away like a criminal. Betrayal never wins. No matter how carefully lies are hidden, truth has a way of exposing them. Daniel thought he was smart, but in the end, his own words and actions destroyed him. Patience brings justice. Mirabel could have exposed him too quickly, but she waited, gathered proof, and let the truth speak louder than her anger. That patience saved her from being called a liar. Greed destroys. Daniel had love, a home, and a faithful wife, but greed pushed him to risk it all. In chasing false love and money, he lost everything. Never underestimate the strength of a woman. Mirabel was quiet, kind, and trusting, but she was not weak. When the time came, she stood tall, uncovered the lies, and protected her dignity. Marriage is built on truth. Without honesty, a home becomes a prison even before the walls close in. Daniel turned his marriage into lies, and that was the beginning of his downfall. In the end, Mirabel found peace not because Daniel returned, but because she freed herself from his chains. Daniel, on the other hand, was left with nothing but memories of what he threw away. Thank you so much for watching this story. What lesson did you learn from it? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories.